flower, a flower in bloom. With she's all around, she lights up the room. So let's start. Anyway, welcome to Two Awoken Blondes, or Two Awake Blondes. What should we call it, Ange?
Two awake blondes.
Two Awake Blondes sounds great. How are you today? What are you doing?
I'm good. I've been out in the sunshine. I got lots of sun and vitamin D. Went to the park, got some fresh air, did a little bit of exercise. So
Wow.
I'm feeling pretty positive.
Isn't it cool? I mean, you go into lockdown and you lose weight. So there you go, ladies. You can lose loads of weight now. Yeah, I've been enjoying the sun. Mind you, I didn't get up till what time did I get up? About 2 or 3 o'clock. I was sitting up all night studying my tarot.
Oh, brilliant.
Love it. Oh, it's so much fun.
I'm just going to close this door so that we're...
Pardon?
I'm just closing the door so that
okay.
Not be undisturbed, basically.
Okay, and just collecting all this positive stuff. And I've got to tell you something here. This is like, you gotta laugh or be really sad here. I don't know, but you know that thing about the man, that the picture of the guy that it said that he was run over by a steamroller and he died of COVID. One of my friends said, "Oh my God, that's so terrible. That's so terrible. How sad." Oh my God, oh my God, how can anybody not get it? It's a joke. Anyway, these are lovely people, but they seem to, they're just not understanding my jokes, are they?
It's just like
I love her to bits, so I have to say that. She's my beautiful friend. But still, she didn't get it.
Yeah, the mind is very... reactive. The mind is very reactive. Like all of our minds are very reactive. Given whatever, we see the world as we are. So if you're feeling very serious and threatened about COVID, then anything, even a joke's going to be like, you're not going to be able to see the funny side of it. Probably something along those lines,
Yeah. Well, we're here to lighten the load, to have some fun. And today we've got a big interview coming up with Paul Boggie Brighton.
Woo!
So the first thing I want to ask him is, what's the Brighton? Why Brighton? Because he lives in Hayes. He lives near.
I wanted to know what the Boggie bit was. What?
I don't know what the I thought it was Boggie.
What?
I thought it was Paul Boggie.
I'm sure he's going to reveal everything. I'm sure he'll reveal everything.
Pardon?
I'm sure it all will be revealed. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you really, really well.
Okay, good.
Well, let's bring him in before he disappears on us and does a runner, because you think, oh my God, these women are mad. Anyway, as I say, we're going to have fun on this program. We're going to do our own little whatever comes to mind. And also we're going to bring on people that we think are going to be a lot of fun to interview as well. So let's bring on Sifu Boggie.
A spiritual Jedi.
Is that what it means? Okay.
Swimming along, I think it's in that vein.
Hi.
Hello, how you doing?
Welcome.
Hi.
To the, what did you call it again? Remind me. Two Awake Blondes. Is that it, Ange?
Yep.
Two Awake Blondes. Anyway, I've decided I'm getting rid of my glasses because I'm trying to train my eyes back to the way they were before I wore them. But you got to forgive me. This is a little bit of a security blanket. I've got them on my head here. Anyway, it's beautiful to have you here on this gorgeous, gorgeous sunny day. And if it's okay, I just want to just start by asking you, first of all, what kind of day have you had today?
It was a normal day for me, really. Well, normal day off day for me because I'm still working. I'm actually an essential worker. So I'm still working, but today, so I've just done some Qigong, done some stuff for, we've got a subscription-based TV network called The Tribe. And so I did a little bit for that. And then I also had to do some filming for my school, my Qigong school, which is called A Cup of Chi. So, yeah, I've been busy. So
lots of fun.
Normal stuff.
Lots of fun, basically.
Yeah, outside.
Okay, if it's okay with Angie as well, I've got another few things before I hand you over to her. I've never shared a program yet, so I'm a Leo, and Angie, what birthday? You're a Libran. Luckily, she's a Libran, because if she was another Leo, we'd get absolutely nowhere. What birth sign are you? Oh.
For me, I am Aries.
Well, there you go. 2 fire signs and an air sign. Okay, well, Angie's going to keep everything nice and gentle and grounded. And with me, you don't know what's going to happen. I might burst out singing, you never know. But anyway, coming back to you, Paul, what's the Brighton? Where does the Brighton come from?
Brighton's my surname.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. Everybody forgets that Brighton can be a surname. In actual fact, Brighton was named after somebody. That's where it comes from. It was Lord Brighton in about the age before that. It was Bridlow or Bridlow or something. I forget but yes. I've always been down Brighton, Bournemouth, Worthing. For the last 38 years teaching martial arts. There's the coast. People are always. There seems, or at least in the UK, there's a lot more people awake in the coast before everywhere else, and so I've always had meditational and qigong is energizing exercises, but it's also self-healing, and it's also there's also is a martial art or defense side to it. So it's always been quite big down there. So down in Brighton, I've got friends down there from martial arts, but I'm also a former figure skater, ice hockey player, and there was ice rinks down there as well. Which
so coming to my second question before I hand you over to Angie, how did this all come about? I mean, what happened? There's always something that happens to someone, or they go through an experience. Where did this all come from? Just tell us a little bit. Go right back to the beginning, because I want to know where all this came from, basically.
Right. So my parents split up when I was around about 7 years old, but I didn't actually get divorced until I was 9. And around about 9, I started, which is sort of, this is to do with it, but it's sort of separate. Is that I started having these dreams of past life stuff, and I started having all this information, sort of remembering that this is my first time round. But I was smart enough to know, or my mum was always a little bit of a hypochondriac, and always, if you coughed, you're going to die, you got tuberculosis, or there's something major. So I knew to keep this sort of stuff to myself, because people around me is like, this was 19, so that was 1979. So like, you're a nutter, if you start talking about that sort of stuff, especially at 9 years old. And I was bullied for being different anyway as a kid, and so round about 11 years old, I started doing a martial art called Kiksa. At the time it was called Katida. It's now called Kiksa, and it was it had like 27 moves or 26 moves, but it also had meditation. And the meditation is what really, and it focused on what they called ki, which I now call like energy or chi, prana. Not piranha, but prana. I was really into that and went up the ranks quite quickly. Even by like 12, I was already, had done a couple of belts. And they had a adjudicator that came to the martial arts to do the testing. And that adjudicator pretty much took one look at me and said, said under his breath to me, but not to my parents, is that in past lives you were my Sifu, and in past lives I was your Sifu, and I will be
Sorry,
Your
can you explain what a sifu is?
I will indeed. I will. So sifu, in essence, some people say sifu is like sensei or master, but sifu is actually more a guide, a muse, somebody who points you along the way. Senseis in Japan, senseis are masters. I am the master. I am the top. You do everything I do. Everything sticks in a certain way. Sifu actually means in Chinese means father or parent. So it's more of, in a positive way, it's more of a loving somebody who guides you but doesn't necessarily rule you. But it points you in that way, points you in that direction. So my first so even though I did one martial art, these two Sifus were two brothers, Sifu Shun, which is their surname, but in China the first child can sometimes be named, keep the surname as their first name, a bit like in old schools back in the 70s and 80s. You know, they'd call you, you know, if your surname's Brighton, you'd be known in Brighton, you wouldn't be known as your first name. And his brother was called Po, and both of them they did Shaolin. They were from the Shaolin monastery, so they were part Buddhist, but they also studied in Wudan Mountain in China, which is a Taoist philosophy, Taoist mountain. And Wudan, well, basically, George Lucas's Star Wars was based on the Force and the light and the dark side, which is the yin and the yang, and the Jedi were actually what the grey Jedi, which we never really got to, but in the original story, before Disney tampered with it, you have the Jedi, which is like pure light, the Sith, which is the dark, but Luke Skywalker actually found out that before those two existed, there was one between, which was the grey Jedi, or grey coat, and they were both of light and dark because they believe there is no good, there is no bad, there just is. And when you keep fighting this game of good and bad, there'll always be casualties, there'll always be problems. But when you realise that everything just is and everything is experience, and you learn, you know, even the bad things that happen in your life are there to help you grow and help you expand and move forward, then you open up to a whole different reality. So yeah, that's what sort of Star Wars was based on.
Thank you.
So,
Angie, do you
Lauren,
a question? Sorry, let's get you back.
Didn't I start talking about Jedis before we got on the call? Do you remember I mentioned about Jedis before we got on the call?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you remember I mentioned about Jedis?
Yes, you did. I'm trying to get both on together, but I don't know how to do that yet. But anyway, carry on, Angie. You had a question.
No, so basically this yin and yang, you know, the good and the bad and the bad and the good. It's like what we're going through right now. If we didn't have a dark to be experiencing our light, then we wouldn't be able to experience it, because if everything was just light, we wouldn't have anything to contrast it against. So this sort of battle that we're in at the moment, this spiritual battle, it's all a big cosmic game in a way. It's like a cosmic, I wouldn't say joke because that's taking it a bit too far, but you know, if you want to be a spiritual warrior, then you've got to be able to sort of detach a little bit from it. You know, and that's kind of getting into the silent witness, right? Yeah,
very much so. And even the word Jedi, you know, a lot of people just think this word. Well, Jedi actually comes from the Egyptian word with a little D on the beginning, the Jedi, and the Jedi means pillar of light.
Really?
Yeah, it means, and the Jedi in Egypt, there was a group of Jedi in Egypt, and they were actually what in China they say, yeah, they were Taoists. They were, and Taoism's a word, just means the way, the path, the balance. And so, like, you know, I look at an American Indian, I say, oh, he's a Taoist, you know, because he follows his own way or path. So the Jedi in Egypt, they were the keepers of the pillar of light. And what do the Jedi have? They have lightsabers, which is the pillar of light. And the pillar of light, you have the Kundalini, that is the fire. And what most people, the reason why a lot of people get psychosis in doing lots of Kundalini and it drives them emotionally crazy is because what they're not aware of is that when you pull in your bum and you tuck in your chin, your head aligns with a cord or a crystalline tube which goes straight through you, straight into the earth and straight into heaven. And that is in Chinese they call it the thrusting channel. In the Egypt it's the Jedi, the pillar of light. And the pillar of light is the water to the fire. So the water is the yin. So up here, where's my hand? Up here, a lot of people call this the yin yang symbol. It's actually Tai Chi. Yin yang is half a black circle, half a white circle, and it's the opposing opposites. The Piscean age we came from, where men and female, men don't understand women and women don't understand men, and good doesn't, good against bad. That's opposing opposites. That is yin yang. This symbol up here is Tai Chi. These two flow together and create harmony. And that's what we're in now. That's what the whole 2012 going into the age of Aquarius, the whole thing in the age of Aquarius is the age of understanding.
Would you say that this, what came out of China, the Taoist tradition, would you say that's been...
That's okay. I sit on the yoga ball, you see, and I roll backwards.
Perfect program.
Boggie fell off his yoga ball.
You got to laugh. Just got to
just roll off.
Yeah, I just rolled off my yoga ball. Yes, don't worry. It's not, because I've got a yoga ball, and the yoga ball sits on the balance ball. So normally, what happened was I got a little bit too carried away and I rolled backwards. And anyway,
okay, let's ground. Let's take some deep breaths.
So we just, yeah.
But that's actually a very important lesson. Never take yourself or anything else too seriously.
Right,
No,
absolutely.
Now, my God, you can't take anything seriously. Anyway,
not with me around. You can never take anything too serious. But that's the point. The whole again with the Sifu not sensei is that set. Well, we've been through all this. Oh, I'm the best. You must listen to everything I say. Da, da, da. You'll listen when you're ready. The information's there, and the whole thing of in the Taoist circles they talk about being childlike, having fun, being playful. The biggest thing with the dark, you want to scare off the dark, tell it you love it, and be happy and jolly in its presence. And pardon my French, it will pap itself. It will take a brick.
Because what you resist persists, basically. If you keep resisting and resisting and resisting, it's not going to change. If you give out, whatever you give out, you get back. So if you give out fear and panic and you fight, that's all you're going to have within you. That's very much A Course in Miracles. Can I just ask you something? Angie, are you finished with your question?
The other parallel we can draw is Neo in the Matrix. That when he learns how powerful his own mind is. These lessons are buried in so many different things. And that Matrix film used a lot of the Buddhist traditions, hidden secrets from Buddhism in that one. So that, I was seeing on Facebook, somebody said that when you draw back the curtain at the Wizard of Oz, it's just this old man behind the curtain and it's nothing to be frightened of. And
like Alice Wonderland with the cards, she just looks at them and says, "You're just a pack of cards. Push." That's it.
Well, the Matrix was both Buddhist and Taoist. The whole point, they're flying in the air. If you look at all the old Chinese movies, they all fly in the air, and they're fighting and they're flying. And the reason they do that is because...
You mean like Monkey?
Yeah, just like Monkey, but the whole... Monkey. Yes, I grew up in that era. Ironically enough, I went to Friday school, Catholic Friday school, and it was on the same day as Monkey Magic. So I'd watch Monkey Magic, then go to Catholic school. So I was studying Buddhist tradition, and then go to Catholic school for Friday school. But the whole point of that flying in the air was there was a very good film that actually American film that translated it called The Bulletproof Monk, and what they say is that they are manipulating energy, that chi air can become solid, that the whole point. And again, quantum physics, when everybody says, oh, this is rubbish, this is Just look at quantum
Well,
physics.
it's just like the Indian sadhus. I don't know if you've heard of Neem Karoli Baba.
Yes.
I mean, apparently some of them, they had the power to teleport themselves, be in two different places at different times. They could perform, what we would call miracles. But of course, none of this information really ever gets into the mainstream here, or maybe it has. I mean, all the stuff that was considered alternative. I grew up with, my mother was an acupuncturist, my stepdad was an osteopath. In the 80s, that was sort of alternative. But now I think that, this idea of like alternative stuff, I don't really think it is alternative anymore.
Well, for a long time they called it new age, which is quite funny when you consider most of this information is older than modern day medicine. So that's why they said alternative rather than new age. And the irony is that the medical system can't, because I actually trained in what's called Tit Ta, which is Chinese osteopath. So Chinese osteopath with what they call Fa Jing is explosive power. Have you ever seen Bruce Lee do the 1-inch punch where, his hand only moves a little bit and that person goes flying? It's about using all your energy, the whole body to create. So you have chiropractor, osteopath. Chiropractor uses direct force on the bones to realign them. Osteopath uses manipulation. In Tit Ta, they use both and plus Fa Jing, so they use the whole body to click the body back into place. And then one of my students and one of my best friends, Fred Bleach, he's a former osteopath. I've done it for over 40 years, but like 20 years ago in the UK, they changed the way that they wanted to bring osteopath into the fold or in the medical tradition. But what they said is that, oh yeah, you can come in, but you're not allowed to diagnose. You're not allowed to give information. So they took away the ability to actually do the job properly, because the original osteopaths and in Chinese medicine is that your goal is not to do the symptomology. It's actually to the reasons you're ill, work on that, not just the symptoms. Because somebody says, "Oh, I've got a headache," and here's a tablet. Well, all that tablet does, all the pill does, it kills the nerve that's to the headache. That's like a fire bell going off, and I get an axe and I chop.
You're getting the symptom. You're not into the core. Anyway, I've got a big question for you, because I'm always thinking about the person on the street, the person that doesn't know a lot about this. Well, all my life I've been different because I never take medication because my whole outlook is so different. So how do you approach someone? Okay, this is like their first day, okay? They've seen something and they're interested. There's some interest in here. I really want to understand a little bit about how can I stay well, because we know that the answer to everything is building immunity, is eating the proper foods, is raising our vibrations and staying in the light and being happy. Nothing can really harm us when we do that. But I'm talking about, we've had years and years and years of spiritual awakenings. I'm interested in how you would approach someone. They come to see you and they say, "Oh, I don't understand anything. I want like the first step to understanding something." So, because you're so passionate about this, Paul, how would you bring it down to the basics with a person that knows very, very little? So they've taken like that much of a red pill, even smaller.
Well, with me, there's different ways people come to me. So so when you say a lot of the time, most people will only ever look at alternative stuff when nothing else has worked, when everything else has failed, and it's almost the last shot. So if, like, I used to do car boot massage. I used to do massage through car boot. So it would just be people that, massage. One of the first questions was, I don't have to get naked, do I? And it's like, well, not all massage requires you to get naked, for starters. But it's like, sometimes the best way to help somebody is just to do it. It's just to, I can talk the hind legs off a donkey and then persuade the donkey to go for a walk afterwards. But all that information will just blow your most people's brains. So sometimes you just simply do. So if they come on the massage side, I'll just give them a massage. They say, oh, it feels better. So we'll hear some techniques that will help you keep that going. On the Qigong side, Qigong, there's a very simple exercise I give away free called Willow Tree Qigong. Now, medically, this exercise has helped people helped people with over 30 years of chronic pain, helped people with ME, MS, fibromyalgia, has helped back problems, has helped poor circulation, arthritis. People who suffer from migraines for years.
For fibromyalgia, please.
Well, I mean, what this exercise does is it's very simple. It's the first. It's like the first step. I mean, the other ones I've had people just like a year ago who within one person I'm thinking of had chronic. She had I think it was fibromyalgia, chronic pain, agoraphobic, always in pain all the time. And within a month of practicing, I think she actually says like the first week, but in a month of practicing a couple of exercises, the pain had almost gone, and she was, and she was now a year later, she gets less and less fearful, even to the fact now she wrote a book, and we've had her on the show, and where before that would never ever happen, but it's building people's confidence.
Exactly. Can you show us how to do that little technique there, Ange?
Without falling off the yoga ball this time. So let's just move that out of the way. So Willow Tree Qigong, quite simply, is so you can sort of do it seated, but you just got to be careful if you've got arms on your chair. You just got to be careful about hitting your arms on the chair. But basically, Willow Tree Qigong is shoulder whip stance, feet flat on the floor. Your feet can either be straight ahead or 45 degrees outwards, whichever is more comfortable for you. Make sure your knees point in the same direction. You bend your knees like you're skiing or snowboarding. You're pulling your bum. And then from here, all you do is with your bum pulled in, you turn to the left, turn to the right, turn to the left, turn to the right. Try to keep your nose in line with your belly button. And this is called Twist the Waist or Willow Tree Qigong. The whole idea is you're not forcing the arms to move. You're not doing this. You're actually, by turning the waist, the arms are naturally moving on their own. You ever watch a toddler? Sometimes they go, I don't want to go to school, I'm bored, or I want to go to school because I'm bored because it's COVID-19. But the whole idea is to just literally twist the waist from side to side, and with the bum pulled in, and the longer you can do it, the better. But a good 5 minutes of this. If you wake up stiff and achy in the morning, there's actually a reason why you're waking up stiff and achy in the morning, but that's a whole conversation on its own. But if you wake up stiff and achy in the morning, or you're travelling about and you're stiff and achy, 5 minutes of this will help loosen you up. If you struggle to sleep at night, 5 minutes of this before you go to bed will help you at night. It's a very simple and easy exercise, and it's one of the two exercises I give away on my school, on Teachable School, that we give, and it's a very simple exercise. But when you do something, because the whole point of the Taoist approach is that even with philosophy is action. You don't just think something, oh, you're just a scholar, and with scholarship you're just information, and it goes into ego. You have to feel it, you have to do it, you have to understand it. So
embody it.
Yeah, very much so. That's the word. And so the Taoist approach is like, so in healing, the Taoist approach is there is no golden pill. You have to do it yourself. You actually have to practice it yourself, and by practicing it yourself, you become it. It is, and because the problem is we've got so used to the medical profession say, oh, take this tablet and everything will be sorted, and it's like, well, it doesn't happen. It doesn't actually happen, and most tablets have some sort of side effect. The only side effect of this is that it's going to affect you. That's the only side effect it has. So,
So I suppose we're probably going to give out your website at the end of the, but you can plug it now if you want.
Yes, at the moment I'm still on www.sifu, S-I-F-U, Boggie, BOGGIE.com. That's and then that will take you to, there's different things we're doing. Like I say, I have my own show called own network called the Way of Conscious Mindfulness Network. From there, we've actually got the Way of Conscious Mindfulness Tribe TV, which is where, because of the restrictions of Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, we went on to subscription based, so it allowed us to talk more freely about the stuff that we talk about. Because just quite recently, especially if you're on YouTube, one of my favourite is the Edge of Wonder, and a lot of them, all of them are going private, going onto their own subscription based. You've got a London Reel that did a show with David Icke, and it was banned instantly. You know, is that for whatever reason, information
yet, but to worry about that. But so hopefully at some point. But I know. But let's come back again. Let's come back. So that was brilliant. Thank you so much. Because as I said, for someone who's starting out, that is a really good way for them to understand what you said. Now, you came onto the Zoom with us a couple of days ago, and we loved your approach because it's so positive, isn't it, Ange?
Yep.
We're not going to hell in a handbasket, so to speak. There's nothing to worry about.
There's one thing I just want to quickly say. I'm actually known as Boggie the Ghostbuster because I've been to the most haunted houses in the UK and in Russia. I actually went to an FBI, a CIA, no, not CIA, a KGB. I'll get the initials right in a minute. A KGB prison, and that was like a real poltergeist central where things fly at your head, and it always happens. I walk in somewhere, everything stops. Everything, and in this place, these guys are used to things flying all the time, and so I walked in, and they were actually more scared that it stopped than when it was actually happening. And when I left again, it all kicked off again. And the whole reason for that is, don't think of shields. People, spiritual world, build a shield, build a wall to protect yourself. In war, when somebody's got a big shield or big wall, the enemy's got something to aim at. The enemy's got something to attack at. But a ninja who is in a filter, or think of Predator, you ever seen the movie Predator, and they're invisible because they've got a filter, you can't see them all. And the whole point of a filter is you only allow in what you want. And it's not you don't allow in any bad, but you only allow in what helps you grow. So you say you're only allowing what helps you grow. And then again, like in the past when I've had haters come on my show, I just go, I love you, you're awesome, thank you so much for being here, love you, you too, I love you, bye, love you. And funny enough, they don't last long. And I've done this. I was a close protection officer for over 10 years, and at Dorman, done martial arts, and I've got big ears, and I look a bit, even when I was younger, I had back in the 80s, I had permed hair. I went the Craig McLaughlin route.
One picture. And
I had permed hair, and I actually looked like Henry from Neighbours. I actually ended up in a.
It was gorgeous. Do you remember?
Well, I wouldn't go that. I'm that good. But the whole point is that when people are aggressive, you fire humour at them, and it's subterfuge. You fire humour and you flip it around. And one of the biggest lessons for me was the movie Roxanne with Steve Martin, when he had the big nose, and that was based on a play called Bergerac. But he had this big nose, and they did the 20-something betters. That the guy called him Big Nose, and he says, "Is that all you could come up with?" And he goes, "Well, throw a dart in the board." He got the number. The bully got the 20, so he came up with 20 something.
I'm just getting the feeling that you would be really good at helping kids that get bullied at school.
I was bullied. I was. It's quite funny because most people, you're the scary one. And it's like, Well, when you're, you get bullied. But so what happened? That's why I did martial arts. But what happened while I did martial arts, I didn't like fighting. So I learnt how to firstly take a punch, then take an emotional punch, and how to take a spiritual punch. And that twist the waist. So going from side to side is the first martial technique I learned. If somebody pushes you, and that force naturally goes, as they push you, you just go.
Yeah.
And they're leaning forward, and your other hand hits them in the back of the head. So as they're going past you, you hit them in the back of the head for good measures.
So, Lauren, I've got a couple of questions here. Okay. First of all, the Boggie bit. Could you tell us about that? And also, if you wouldn't mind telling us about some of your previous lives.
Oh, okay. Right, yes, the Boggie bits. The Boggie bit. The two Sifus, Shun and Po, that in traditional martial arts in the ancient knowledge, like American Indians, they give you names. You're given a name, and my actual martial art name is Taiso Boggie. So Taiso, Tai from the word Tai Chi. So Tai, that's supreme. So supreme, lower chaos. Otherwise, big trouble. So I was known, even as a kid, I was known as a bit of in this very much like a Jackie Chan character or like Charlie Chaplin. I was a bit of an instigator, a bit of a rebel, and I caused trouble even when I wasn't, doing it on purpose. I would cause trouble. And the Boggie is a bit like the Tai Chi symbol, which means the balance between the chaos and the calmness. So it's you taking all these chaotic things and then making them calm. Or when things are too calm, you're the instigator that pokes the bear to bring things up. Because, what people don't realise, we need this.
That reminded me, sorry, Paul. Sorry, it reminded me of when I went into the therapeutic community. What you said, we all came in there. I was in there for nearly 2 years, and I recovered from BPD. Which I don't believe in, but without medication. We all came in there from different backgrounds and beliefs, and we clashed everywhere. You come in there with all the madness and the chaos, like the world, and then you start to awaken. And what starts to happen is you go completely the other way. So if you were so narcissistic, you go completely the other way and start wanting to take care of everyone. And it's all about bringing it all back into balance. So within the last 6 months of you being in the therapeutic community, you come back into balance, and that's when inner peace came in. And it's exactly what you're saying there.
Yeah, and what was
the NHS that was.
Yeah, and I mean, see, in the West, again, everything's been altered or changed, so people can't see what certain things really are or really mean. So martial arts has been altered. Everybody thinks martial arts is fighting. Martial arts is actually about personal development. It's about understanding yourself and understanding how to do things. Now,
I'm just getting the book, the Dan Millman, the Way of the Peaceful Warrior or something. I don't know if you've heard of that book. Yeah.
And there's lots of good books about that, and it's good understandings. I mean, there was a military advisor from China called Sun Tzu, and he did the art of war, which became the art of strategy. And the art of strategy has been used in business for the past 50 years. The reasons, one of the main reasons why the Americans lost the Vietnam War was because the Vietnamese generals studied this art of strategy. And the biggest thing in this book is don't face people directly on. You redirect their energies. You take the resources rather than, and that's what's happening in the end of the World War II. Rather than they were taking over depots and taking away the resources rather than trying to do direct attacks. And in Tai Chi and Qigong, this is the idea: is that you don't take people head on because it's pointless. It is, especially like you're the big scary demons. Well. Though with the big scare, like I used to, as a kid, have dreams of monsters chasing me, and then one day, this was about 9, and I realised to turn around and face it and just say, "What do you want?" And when I turned around and faced it, it was a little bit like the monster from the Muppet Show, if you remember the big hairy one, the huge one. And when I faced it, it burst into tears. It said, "You're meant to be running."
Yeah.
And you know, that's my purpose. And for me, that was a trigger to what, like this whole Boggie Ghostbuster thing. It's a whole trigger to know that darkness and light have a role. And when you step out of that role, they either will ignore you or they'll run away from you.
Oh, you've been muted.
Oh,
sorry, Lauren, I've got one more question here, and then we'll go back to you. You see, my issue is that with my journey of awakening, I had a big transcendent experience at something called Landmark, which was a sort of a Zen big nothing experience where, you know, got a real transcendent experience of that. And that was around about 2007. And then I started going down the rabbit holes, and I saw Zeitgeist, and, you know, it was just one thing after another with the Truther movement. And what I'm noticing now with the people that are into QAnon is very often when you know, talk about Bill Gates, or immediately it's like, well, it's not going to stop until he's dead, or, you know, it's got to be death for these people. And most of it is a right wing movement, the Q thing, even though I'm following it and I sympathize with it. Their answer is that these people have got to die. What's your take on that?
Well, I think that it's not so much. Well, I think for me, it's not Q that's saying these people got to die. Q wants these people to be arrested and to be, you know, taken. But it's the people following Q that sees there is no good or bad, there just is. And the problem is when you're, in the past, a dictator gets taken out, and then somebody comes in with all good intentions and they end up being dictator as well. Because if you use the same system to take away one bad guy, you'll just create another bad guy. Even in politics, this liberals and conservatives and all of that. While you're still fighting in that system, you're still fighting in that system.
I understand.
You can't beat that system. You need to totally change the way you do it to step forward. Now, people will say, that's impossible. Well, no, nothing's impossible. People would say us staying at home for and being locked down, that'd be impossible, that'd be the end of the world. It's happened. And if you read the hero's journey, everything has cycles, and this was meant to happen. Whether it was started by the good guys, the bad guys, the banana people, or the goat people, it doesn't actually matter. Is that this was meant to happen, because whatever happens, me personally, I see it going in a positive way. But whatever happens, it can't go back to what it was. There was lots of people who were dissatisfied, unhappy, and we were all starting to wake up anyway. And that's why you needed this to put us in this situation where you're at home and you're in your 4, 5, 6 walls, and you have to actually start facing certain truths.
The way I look at it is, I think it's actually making me stronger, because I do have health issues that I'm struggling with. I deal with chronic pain and a lot of the things you were talking about. And because I was quite neurotic before this thing happened, so I was somebody that washed my hands a lot and everything before anyway. And what started to happen is that, I was washing my hands so much that we're getting really kind of raw and, like uncomfortable. And so basically now what I'm doing is I'm doing so many things for my health now. I've ordered vitamin D, I've ordered zinc, vitamin C, I'm going out and getting lots of sun. So I'm, whatever comes at us next, I'm so, looking after myself now that it's gone the opposite way with me. I'm just, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going into fear. I'm wanting to build myself up as much as I can. So it's pushed me in a good direction, Yeah.
I mean, Q's a good thing to look at, but there's 2 other people I would say you must read, especially if you have any health conditions whatsoever. Bruce Lipton, think of the tea, Lipton tea, Bruce Lipton, Bruce Lee, Lipton tea, Bruce Lipton, and also Joe Dispenza. That one I have no idea, just Dispenza, Orenza.
Further than that, I started first of all with Louise Hay. She was the beginning for me. Louise Hay and Brandon Bayes. Brandon Journey. I have mentors that educated me in my 20s. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be walking around now. When I came over from Israel, I had awful IBS, the worst IBS you can imagine. And I met this incredible man called Keith Bascom in Ealing. Changed my life. He was absolutely amazing. It's like a witch doctor. He was so amazing, and I didn't know what the hell he was doing. And what he was doing is he was doing kinesiology with me. He was giving me masses of homeopathy and changed my diet. And within 2 weeks, my IBS had gone, and he became my mentor. So with me, when it comes to the body, I had a massive awakening a long, long time ago, and I haven't touched medication for probably more than 20 years now, except when I broke my leg and they gave me something for that because I broke my leg and I was in hospital. But because I was given, genetically, I was given a weak body, not very strong. I shouldn't really be here. As I say, if it wasn't for and Philip Day, who taught me about apricot kernels and how to prevent and heal cancer, and without these amazing people, that obviously I was meant to live. I was meant to go on and do the things that I'm doing. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here, because genetically the body I was given was not very strong, and I didn't know anything about how you create your body. So what I'm trying to say is, when this virus thing came out, I haven't been to the doctor ever for like bronchitis, everything, no antibiotics. I've been healing everything, as I say, for more than 20 years, maybe even before I met Martin. And always healed every single time. Every single time I managed to heal myself, apart from the menopause, which I still struggle a bit. So when this thing came out, it was like, oh, okay, then I'll do it. I'll do what somebody tells me. If they say you've got to take colloidal silver, which I know I've healed infections, I've healed gum infections, teeth, things that dentists give you, like these things, massive tablets. And I thought, okay, well, I'll do whatever they tell me. I'll take huge amounts of vitamin C. I'll take colloidal silver, black seed oil. I'll get happy. I'll get happy. I'll do what I love. And that's it. And then, like Martin, my husband, started doing the same. And we became more or less vegan. We're not purely vegan. And that's it. And there was never an ounce, an atom of fear of getting sick from this thing. My intuition, my consciousness said, but you know what this is, Lauren. You've seen what happened to the bushfires in Australia. Suddenly they ended. What happened before that? We were in America twice, okay? The first time we were in America, there was a false flag where Korea was going to nuke everyone, but it was everywhere, mainstream, everywhere. You couldn't get away from it. You're going to be nuked by Korea. Trump is going to do this and whatever. Then the second time we went to America, it was all about Putin. And Putin was going to pour down clouds of biochemicals on top of everyone. And we were visitors, and it was bombarded. You were bombarded by it. You sit down for breakfast. It was all about Putin. And then after that, you had another terrorist attack, or suddenly that ended. And then you suddenly got this climate change, we're all going to die. And then you got the bushfires in Australia, and it was huge. You see, this is how my consciousness has developed. It was huge. And they were putting all these appeals everywhere, and then suddenly it's finished. And now we've got COVID. And it's like, yeah, okay, what the hell? What is going on? So what is going on, Paul? What is going on?
That's the whole point. If you step out the box and actually just say, like you say, you look all the way back to 2000s. So since the 2000s, there has been incident after incident after incident after incident. There's always been this fear, and then there's this new fear and this other fear, and it's what's the overlying? What's the average thing? Fear. Why would media, why would government, they really push one thing, and then it's almost like a fashion, this is the new craze, and then, now this is the new craze.